Hey guys, it's Julie. I told you that I would do some tea dyeing. Well, someone had asked me, and I had said that I would do some tea dyeing on camera so you guys could see what it was all about and how easy it is. I'm actually going to do a tea dye, which is in this container here, and then this here is a coffee dye. And for the coffee dye, you just make a pot of like the strongest batch of coffee. You would never ever drink it, okay? It would be way too strong. I used like 5 heaping scoops of coffee. And you brew that, and then you can do this while it's hot, or you can do it while it's cold. You can do it while it's 2 days old. It doesn't matter. A lot of times if you do it while it's hot, the color sets faster, so you don't have to let it steep as long. But for me, I don't care. I'll just let these sit here, and I'll just let the stuff do their business, and I'll come back and clean it up or whatever, get it out and make sure that it's the color that I want, and go from there. This tea dye mixture here has been, for most of it, I've been using it off and on over the past 3 days or so, but I did brew some more this morning and just poured it in kind of just to strengthen the mixture a little bit. And I've used like 6 or 7 tea bags and, maybe 4 or 5 cups of water. And then, if you need a stronger mixture, use more tea bags. If you need a weaker mixture, use less. The mixture portion is all a guessing game. You just keep kind of adding tea bags to the hot water until you kind of get a nice opaque color where you can't see through it, like you can't see the spoon at the bottom anymore. So that's kind of what I've done here, and the same with the coffee. I knew that coffee would be strong enough because I used so much, so I didn't even worry about it. But let me show you an example of a few of the things that I've already done, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, now this was the seam binding I dyed with the coffee stain. I don't like it. I don't like how it's not dark, and I did leave it in there for quite some time. Not as long as I left the tea stained one in. So since I don't really care for it like this, I want it to be a little bit darker, I'm just going to go ahead and put it back in. And all I do is just let it soak all the way down to the bottom, and I'm just going to let that sit. That's just going to be something I'm going to let sit in there. Now I did some fabric. This is muslin, and I'll show you the difference between the two. This was muslin that was done in tea dye, and you can see it's kind of an orangier color. And again, not happy with this because it's not darker, and I thought that coffee dyes were supposed to be somewhat darker. It did get dark on the edges. It actually looks like it's burnt on the edges, which is an okay look. I don't mind that at all. So I'm going to put this piece back in too, because I'm going to let it go for a little bit longer and see if I like how it looks once it takes the stain again. And then I did do some some doilies. Okay, these are done in the coffee, and I like how they came out. They're darker, and I do like that. They're a little bit darker. This is one that was a tea dye. Okay, and you can see the difference between the two. One is a little bit lighter and one is a little bit darker. This one of the flowers that I did bled, and it turned the mat that I had these sitting on pink, but that's okay because I kind of like it like that. And you can see I think this was a coffee one, and I kind of like it how it turned out like that. So I'm sure I can find a use for that. And then here's some more. I really like how this one came out because it has a lot of kind of texture to it. I like that one. And then this is a tea dyed one. It's a little bit lighter. And then this is another tea dyed one as well. And the pink kind of bled on here too. So I do like how those turned out. And then let me see. I have some tags, and I don't know what I did with the... Oh, there they are. Okay, this is the coffee dyed tags. Okay, and they're all right. I mean, they're not really dark, but what I noticed is that the tea stain is just slightly darker than the coffee, and I know that my coffee mixture is strong enough because it's dark, and I left them in for the same amount of time, so I'm not quite sure, what the difference is. They aren't all the way dry yet, but they're pretty close. So I want you guys to see how to do it. So what I'm going to do is I've got some tags here that I just cut out, and these are just the Tim Holtz tags. And I'm going to do 2 more in each. I'll do 2 in the coffee and 2 in the tea. And I like mine to be crinkled up first, so I'm just going to go ahead and just crinkle them. And then I'm going to unravel, okay, and then I'm just going to slide them in to the bottom of the water, okay. I'm just kind of try and get them underneath the tea bags. Now, if you're concerned about your manicure, do not do this without gloves on because this stuff really does stain. And I found that if you use toothpaste on your hands, that the staining will come off fairly easily, just like it does from your teeth pretty much, as long as you brush right after drinking coffee or tea. The same thing happens with your fingers. You can get it off with toothpaste. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do the same in the coffee. And you can put tons of stuff in here. You know, you can really load these up. I had it the other night when I was doing tea dye. I had my container so full that there was really, all the liquid was like almost all soaked up with the product. So, you know, you can definitely just keep loading these up. Okay, so then I'm just going to slide this one in. I'll just put it in underneath this seam binding that's sitting here. Okay. And then I want to do some more seam binding, but since I've already got that in the coffee dye, I'm just going to do some seam binding in the tea dye. And I'm just going to take off maybe 4 yards or so. And this is the seam binding that I buy. And you can buy this on eBay. And if I can find the seller, I'll link to it below. Let me get some scissors here to cut this. All my scissors have disappeared. It lasts a really long time. You get 100 yards at a time, and I do use seam binding a lot, so I usually have at least one spare on hand. Since that one is almost empty, I will be buying another one here pretty soon. They're pretty cheap. I think it's only like $9 for 100 yards, so definitely inexpensive. And then I have this piece of muslin here, and I've just been using this to wipe my hands on because I know that I'm going to be dyeing it anyway, and it'll just give it a little bit more character. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut this into some strips, or rip it into strips, and then we're going to use this to dye with as well. So let's see if I can get this one here. Okay. So I'm just going to stick that in the coffee and that one in the tea. Just kind of push it down. And then once I let these set, I'm going to let these go for about, you know, it's up to you. I'm probably going to let them go for about an hour because I have a couple things that I need to get done. And I'll just let these set in here until I'm finished. And that's the good thing about tea dyeing and using, or coffee dyeing, is because you can just let them go. You don't have to sit and watch them. You don't have to do anything. They'll just do their own thing, you know, all by themselves. I am going to put a couple paper doilies in here, and I'm going to put these paper doilies on the bottom so that they can kind of lay flat. Now these are very, very fragile when they come out. You have to be very careful or they will tear. That's my word to the wise right now because I have torn a lot, and that's okay. You can still use them if they're torn because a lot of times you're going to be covering some of this up anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But you know, just in case you want to make sure that they're all in one piece, if you need an entire full one, you just need to be careful when you're taking them out. And I'm going to kind of get this all set back up in here. And that's it. Alright, so through the magic of television, well, YouTube television, I'll be back when these are out and I have got them dried and ready for you guys to see. Alright, bye-bye. Hey everybody, I'm back and I wanted to share with you the results of the coffee and the tea dye. And I'm just going to change the camera here just a smidge if I can. This, I'm telling you, this tripod's on its last leg. Okay, so I think that might be a little bit better. Alright, so I wanted to show you I tea dyed the fabric, and this particular fabric I had tied up in like a strip like this and then wrap some string around it, and look at the great effect it had. It's almost kind of like a tie-dye, and you can see the different, where there isn't any stain, where the rope was at that I used. This side I guess you can see it better on. But I thought that was really cool. And that's out of the tea. And then this one didn't really get that effect. This is the coffee. You can see it in a couple places where the string was, but not over the whole thing. Which again, I don't know. I don't know that I will do the coffee again. For me, I didn't get the results that I really wanted, but this is what the fabric turned out. And you can see how, you know, the fabric has the splotchiness, and that's okay. I kind of like that. especially right here, you can really see that. And I will definitely use it. It's just not the look that I was anticipating, I think. The tea-dyed tags, these are the tea-dyed ones, and they came out nice. Nice and dark, I would say. Dark enough, anyway. And these are the coffee, and you can tell there's just a little difference in the color. This is definitely like a darker shade of the same brownish color, and it has the coffee residue on it, and it definitely smells like coffee. Okay, and then the seam binding. This is the seam binding from the tea. Okay, and it has that nice light milk chocolatey, I guess, kind of color. And then this is the coffee stained. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I have them backwards. This is the coffee stained, the one that I just showed you. And then this is the tea-dyed one here. And you can just barely see the difference, really. This is just a smidge lighter. I will definitely use both of those. And then I did do some strips of fabric. And this is the tea dye. And this is the coffee. And you can see how the coffee has the brownish marks on it from where it was sitting kind of in the grounds. So you do get a different type of stained look, which is great because, you know, all of it just creates a different texture. The tea, I guess, is a smoother color, and the coffee is a more textured color. This I thought came out super cool. I love the coloring on this. This was in the tea dye. Love how that came out. And then this one here, and I tore it when I went to fold it, or when I went to set it down. I did tear it, but that's okay. This is the coffee. Has a nice color to it and a little bit of texturing here. And then that's it. I just love how these came out. And if you have any questions about tea dyeing or coffee dyeing, please ask me. I'd be glad to answer anything I can. I'm sure there's other tutorials on how to tea dye and how to use coffee for dye. You know, that everybody has a different interpretation of how to do something. So it's great if you kind of check around. Maybe you'll find several videos that you can compile together to create your own special way. All right, everybody, I hope that you had a fabulous day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.